we talk a lot about commodities, right? So we talk about oil and
Right.
all kinds of other commodities, but actually the world's most valuable commodity, right? And if you go back to Cleveland and people realizing that this kerosene and oil was going to be so valuable before everybody else's, computing power is the world's most valuable commodity. And so ultimately, what Bitcoin is backed by is the world's strongest computing network, right?
Yes.
It is backed by the strongest commodity in the world. It's the largest kind of computing network commodity in the world. And so I think that what we're starting to see, and it's starting early, right? There's still a lot of people that wrap their head around this, is if you start to think of computing power as a commodity, and then you start to say to yourself, well, who owns the pipes to the computing power? Well, Jeff Bezos and AWS is doing pretty well.
Yeah.
Right?
Yes.
The Bitcoin network is backed by the strongest computing network in the world. It's $1 trillion asset now, right? And so you start to look around and say, where's the computing power, right? Where's that pointed to? Who's providing it? Who's the underlying infrastructure that's making that possible? I think that whole world and that whole economy and industry is going to get really, really interesting.
The pipes.
But there's another piece of it that gets me even more excited, which is if you look at some of these companies like Great American Mining, and there's a whole slew of them, what they're doing is they're saying, we're going to connect that old commodity world to the new commodity world. So they go out to the oil and gas guys and they say, hey, you guys are killing the environment. You guys are flaring all this gas out here. And it's one of the most harmful things you can do, but you're doing it because you found oil. What if we could actually capture the flare gas and we could turn it into power on site and we could mine Bitcoin right here?
Whoa.
And that's what they're doing, is they're literally powering Bitcoin mining equipment on site at the oil and gas wellhead. And they're capturing flare gas and they're mining, because all you have to do is have an internet connection in these machines.
All right. I just stop for a second. All right. So I'm meeting with the CEO of Coca-Cola. And I say, how much you paying for the carbon dioxide? He tells me the price. I said, I got an idea. Why don't we take all the carbon dioxide that comes out of the wells when they drill, and we'll send it to Coca-Cola? Here's the way I'm thinking. I'm thinking about a soft drink. You're thinking about Bitcoin. And that is the difference. But you see, after this interchange, I know enough with the CO2 and the Coca-Cola. You've got an idea that is brilliant. And it's like, if I take the Darren Woods tomorrow at Exxon, I'm going to say, what the hell? Why can't you diversify like this? Or
every single company in the world that has any sort of power generation is going to do this, because the financial incentive is way too high. Every day right now, Bitcoin miners are paid like $50 to $55 million all around the world every day. Right. So we're talking about, billions and billions of dollars in terms of annual revenue to Bitcoin miners. Right. But the beauty is that you don't have to go buy equity in a miner to get that exposure. If Exxon said, hey, you know what? We got a lot of gas flaring going on. We got a lot of access to power. Why don't we just buy some of these computers, plug them in, and then we'll start to get our own fair share of that revenue? You would see that not only are these companies going to have what a lot of people are referring to, like Michael Saylor referred to as a treasury strategy. Right? How do I go ahead and buy Bitcoin and put it on my balance sheet and kind of use that to protect my shareholder value? But also what they're going to start to say is, wait a second, I need a P&L strategy. How do I actually participate in this economy and drive revenue and profits off of this? And so I think that ultimately the financial incentive for this system is going to be incredible. It's just that people are uneducated yet. They haven't spent the time. Right? If you're running an Exxon, that's the last thing in your mind is, how do I mine Bitcoin? Over time, though, that changes.
Like Rockefeller. You just got to think like Rockefeller, who was this bumpkin, but he had thoughts like this. He wouldn't be rolling over his grave right now. He would be saying, you know what? I want to go right now and wring the neck of the Exxon guy that he hasn't thought about it, or worse, that he thinks it's small.
Of course.
That's what the people felt were the refineries. The 27 Cleveland refineries, they thought they were small. But when you took them together, oh my God. Well, anyway, look, I got to go. Shoot, I got to go I got to go lose money versus make money.